welcome back to the channel once again. Today I'm super mega excited to be sharing this video with you guys because today we're gonna be talking about the Pierre, and this series actually has 2 seasons available and it's 100% worth the watch. And today we're gonna be talking about this whole complicated, difficult, confusing love story that developed between Veronica and Alejandra on the show. But before we get into more details, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and also let me know your personal opinion down below in the comments if you guys have watched the show and what would you personally rate it from 1 to 10. So let's get right into more details. So basically, Oscar is married to Alejandra. They've been married, they're happily married, but Oscar has a double life because he's also has a whole love affair with Veronica, and they've been together like for 8 years. They have a daughter together, but at this point Alejandra didn't know until she started having her suspicions that her husband was cheating. So a woman being a woman, a wife being a wife, she ends up putting two and two together, and she finds out that her husband was having a whole love affair, but he never gave any type of suspicion because Oscar was very smooth. Like, he didn't make Alejandra feel less, he didn't make Alejandra feel like, you know, she didn't get love. And the same with Veronica, so he was really playing his role accordingly, you know. So Alejandra ends up finding out who Veronica is. She goes to do her research on her, she finds where she lives, and you know, during that whole situation, Oscar actually ends up taking his own life away, unfortunately. So Alejandra wasn't very acceptable that he would do something like that, and she actually ends up feeling that someone actually did that to her husband. So that's how she and Veronica actually ends up getting close, you know. And Alejandra at this point knew who Veronica was, but Veronica didn't know who Alejandra was, even though they were spending time together. They were around Oscar and Veronica's daughter. Veronica never asked Oscar any picture of Alejandra to see how she looks, none of that, because she already felt guilty for knowing that she's was someone else's husband. So she didn't want to put a picture to it or image to it, so she never knew Alejandra's identity. So after that, moving on from season 1 going into season 2, at this point Oscar already passed away. Alejandra still didn't tell Veronica who she is, that she's Oscar's wife in this case. So in the beginning of season 2, the opening scene of the series is them two making love, Veronica and Alejandra making love. Beautiful scene, beautiful moment, very intense, worth the watch. So after they had their first moment together, Alejandra ends up telling Veronica who she is, and Veronica was so upset. She felt betrayed. She felt like, why would you sleep with me knowing that I slept with your husband, I was with your husband, I have a whole kid with your husband. So confusing, and they end up getting in this whole big argument, and Alejandra ends up going home because Veronica told her, I don't want to see you here, go home. So she ends up going home. After that, Alejandra gave, you know, Veronica a couple days to cool down. She went there to Veronica's house again. She lives at the not in the rural areas, like at the farm. She went there once again and just apologized and explained herself, and Veronica ends up forgiving her. But then Alejandra told Veronica, hey, we need to investigate what happened to Oscar. I don't see Oscar being that type of person to harm himself and take his own life away, so we need to figure out what went wrong with him. So they end up trying to investigate the case, and they actually found out a lot of things about Oscar that they never thought they would find out. But during all of that, Alejandra actually ends up having a whole love situation with the police officer who's also investigating the case. Veronica was okay with it, you know, because she was also still trying to get over Oscar, and she was falling for Alejandra, but she didn't want to put pressure on what they were having because everything was still very confusing. So Alejandra went on getting into this whole love cycle situation. So she was just bumping around. So she was spending time with Veronica, liking Veronica, and then she would spend time with the police officer and then come back, sleep with Veronica, and then go sleep with the police officer, just having a whole moment of intimacy with both. But the police officer make it very clear to Alejandra that he doesn't want no part with Alejandra if she's involved with Veronica. And Veronica at the beginning was actually okay with her having, relationships with the police officer because her feelings wasn't that deep. But that didn't last long because Veronica once found out that Alejandra and the police officer was spending time together while she was, doing some stuff to find out more information about the Oscar case. And she saw like Alejandra and the police officer at the house, and she ends up having a private conversation with Alejandra later and told her like basically you will have to choose. I went through this before. I never told Oscar to choose between me and you because I knew what our situation was, but I don't want anything in half no more. And I know like I knew I only had him halfway, and I don't want just someone halfway anymore. I want my person. I want a person, my person, and someone to come home and to come sleep with me. And Alejandra ends up accepting that conditions, but at this point she didn't tell the police officer, so everything was very very confusing. And the police officer ends up leaving Alejandra because, like I already said, he's a very traditional man. He doesn't see himself being in a poly relationship, none of that. And Veronica also doesn't want to share Alejandra with someone that she has to share anymore because she had been doing that for 8 years. So after that, basically moral of the story, Alejandra and Veronica ends up being together. They ends up solving the case, finding out what happened to Oscar. Oscar left a letter, saying how much he loved both of them, and that both of them were actually, the love of his life, and that he never meant to hurt none of them, and basically apologizing and saying that he actually ends up doing what he did to himself. Nobody did it, and during that whole process they just found a way to bond together to figure out how to solve the case, and everything went well, and they do have a happy ending. They do end up together, and that's probably one of the main reasons why I wanted to share this storyline with you guys, because just imagine falling in love with your husband's lover, and from the other side, like falling in love with your lover's wife. It's just a whole situation. Like when I saw it, I was like, I can't believe that this can actually happen, but it did. And they made it work. At the end of the day, they found a way to let the past be the past, close the chapter of Oscar, and find a way to build their own love story, despite them having a relationship with a man, so it's a very very confusing situation. But if you guys watch the show, you will understand more. So if you guys want to watch it, it's available to watch on Amazon Prime. It has 2 seasons available. It's worth the watch. The intimacy scenes of the two ladies together is a 10 out of a 10. Very spicy, very hot, very intense. I liked it, I enjoyed it, and I know if you guys like those type of scenes, you will definitely enjoy their scenes together as well. Their connection is very good, so yes, 10 out of a 10. So yes guys, that's basically it. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know your personal thoughts down below in the comments. Until the next video, and goodbye.